It has been too long, and the pain too great. The events I am going to describe happened a long time ago, and I have never spoken of them, for fear that what happened to that Craig Livingstone may then happen to me. Since that dreaded day, I have learned much about these forces that operate out of the limelight, the demonic that haunts the shadows, and sometimes, at particular times, or due to specific sequences of events, leave their shadow world and become a lot more present in ours. You see, there is a world I now know that operates on a lot deeper and darker level than what most of us ever suspect or see. A plane of nightmare, Lan Caradrak it is called, that not only watches and waits for an opportune moment to manifest, but also actively seeks, hunts us all. It is just most never see it or trigger the events that summon this evil world of nightmare into our reality. Unfortunately for me, and it was purely by misfortune, I did trigger such an event. It was a darkly devious day all those years ago which caught me out. Since then, I have lived in great fear and had to adapt my living habits to ones where I can never be alone, and certainly never within woodland, and adopt codes just to stay sane and alive. The man sat there in tears, for it had won. Finally, the game of evil had been lost. He opened his hand and started writing, hoping with all his heart that no one ever read what he wrote, for they, too, would be damned, wouldn't they? For a brief moment, he stopped the darkest of writings and ceased scribing its sinister agenda. He tried to make it to the window, but was forced back to his writing desk, cruelly commanded. Not physically, never that. These commands were on a whole new level. They spoke of torment, eternally, the depths of which no man should ever know of. Briefly, he looked wistfully over at his darkened window, but then his head was turned back to the page. He continued writing with his bloody tip of a finger on the wall, in the corner. I wish you could not read this, and the words and letters would stop here, as they should, but they did not, and do not. The events happened when I was a child. It was back in the 70s, when the world was less hectic, but more experimental. Like most, back then, we played outside more, had simpler lives, and partook in an innocence of spirit that has, I sense, departed, retreated into a corner of time, and recedes into a place so obscure that it increasingly becomes harder to recall it back to us. We all become more alone, and as I now know and allude to, more in danger. Despite our busy lives, a strange danger, for it is purely insidious and perfectly clever. Most will never know it even exists, or has the potential to damn them to a fate so dark and evil they would whimper in desolation and the utmost sorrow. A good thing, too. Those lucky ones. Not for me, such kindness of fate. Once more, the old man tried to stop his writing, but was dragged back once again to his final corner. It was here, always in corners, that the coming and awakening was easier for them. Well, there are a few other places and sequences of events that can occur to catch their attention most easily, but for me, it was corners. I am forced to now sit writing this in the corner of my bedroom. The angles of the walls reach up above me, and my bloody hand, prints and spidery writing decorate and adorn the dimensions. I do not speak of measurement. I weep and wish I could but stop. But I have been defeated, and my long battle to elude and evade is now over. It won. I continue writing, just wishing no one would ever read this, for if they do, they may become as damned as I. Not everyone, of course, just a select few who meet the particular requirements of time, situation, and threat. Well, threat may be too strong a word. For what threat are we to them? They have all the demonic cards within their black hands, and the strategies to take whenever they choose, whenever they want. Their timing is always careful and cruel. It was back then that I became damned, and perhaps you will too, if you have not heeded my subtle warnings and continue to read. It had been an unusually hot summer. We played in the fields and woods with our tops off, making up simple games, cowboys and Indians one day, a game of chase and tag the next, building our secret camps, forts and hideouts, just exploring. It was on one such summer's night that a group of us decided to do something quite stupid. We played a game of Ouija board while camping in the forest. There were 5 of us, an unfortunate number, I now know. We innocently sat around our campfire and told ghost stories, played our board game, and just had fun. We dared and teased the boundaries in our foolhardy youth, our spirits defiant and ignorant. One boy, Craig Livingstone, told a particularly evil ghost story that night. I do not know what possessed him to come up with it. I have wondered many times since whether he had just come up with the words on the spot, or whether it had been a carefully thought out and premeditated, and not told by him, affair. His tale had become so dark and sinister, walked in their corners so sublimely and utterly, that it verily summoned them. Perhaps it was not his fault, but I have blamed him for my pitiful life since. That boy was found hanging in the woods a few summers later. It, of course, was put down to being at his own hand. But I know different, obviously. The day after, I had gone for a walk in the woods alone. And why did I do that? My friends had all become busy. Again, I suspect this. It was a hot, deceptive, chosen midsummer's afternoon. The air was still, and the insects hummed their chants. Let me describe it for you, so you too may imagine the scene. Please do not, unless you stop reading. It is the last chance to close the book and continue your life oblivious. The trees seemed still and yellow, and the air rippled in the heat. The forest smells were earthy, and the elements in harmony. I walked along a forest path, idly kicking leaves and the odd stick. The vegetation was rich and heavy, to the point of being stifling and oppressive. But what did I know? I was a teen then, and not receptive to all the warning signs. I now laugh bitterly at how easily they caught me. There was one particular part of the woodland that seemed quieter and older than the rest. One rarely, if ever, chanced upon another walker there, except once, I just recall, I saw an old twisted man, or thought I had, dart from the forest trail ahead of me and disappear into the laden undergrowth. I look back in incredulity now, that I had not seen this as out of place at the time and something to run from. I probably just shrugged or dismissively laughed at him and continued my amble through the forest. It was along that path, when all life was still, that Lan Caradrak got its hooks of horror into me. I had always been a dreamer, read much, and lived in a world of daydream and fantasy. My mind had been creative, and my soul pushed boundaries of what was real. I often enjoyed being left alone to just walk and think, like on that still summer's day in the old part of the forest. Perhaps I was always fated to be so caught by the horrors that wait in old black Lan Caradrak. It came down from a tree, I think. It waited for me to just pass the spot where it waited, sentinelled. An old twisted tree with such an obvious face in it. The little forest path I had deviated onto was an even more seldom trodden one, even for this desolate part of the woodland. The bushes and undergrowth had almost closed the way off, and my arms pushed them aside so I could proceed. I was heading for a clearing that I knew existed and had stumbled upon the summer before. It was just a barren rise, not even a hill really, where only moss seemed to grow and some stones, grey and white of colour, were present. I found out many years later that it was one of the many ancient and forgotten barrows of that area, unloved and unnoticed. Strangely unnamed and not marked on any map. I found out, over later years, just what had been interred in that sepulchral layer. I became its slave, and now minion. Stopping my writing for a moment, I look up at the dark runes that I have written in my very own blood on the walls in this corner of my bedroom. My heart freezes at the evil that is being scribed and the promised doorways being opened for one unlucky reader. I wish I could stop, but the song has been started and the demonic dance now initiated. It will be completed now. I will meet that which I have always feared, and I am sure my fears will be vastly surpassed from anything even I could have ever imagined. I should be in even more fear than I am, but some primitive instinct no doubt has frozen my mind from dwelling upon, confronting and seeing the true terror of what now awaits me once I disappear through my corner, once the evil incantation is written, once I have passed the seed of evil on and damned that one unlucky reader. It had swooped down from that old twisted tree on that dreadful day before I knew it or could take a single step in flight and evasion. My peripheral vision caught it, caught more than it should, and soar into the abyss, into Lan Caradrak. It enshrouded me, cloaked me in its veiny bat wings. Its demonic face opened, and it bit my head in malevolence. But the bite went deeper than the physical, for when my eyes snapped open and I looked back at that twisted old tree, all was as it had been, none of it seeming to have happened at all. I stood on the path that day for 5 heartbeats. Oh, why did I wait that precise number of beats, looking at the tree, thinking I'd just had a vivid daydream, as somehow I'd managed to fall asleep momentarily on my feet and had simply dreamt the event, for there was no blood on my head, where its stinking maw had struck me, no imprint where its wings had crushed and seared me, no smell of the abyss or wine of the demons as they were let loose. The path was still, sinisterly still. The day had moved on. It seemed later in the day, but I did not wear a watch, so even now do not know if it indeed was later in time. However, one thing I do clearly remember from that fateful evil day is that there was an intangible atmosphere of something being out of place, something existing there that should not have been. I called it later the Lurker, for want of a better term. No word could ever have captured all the darkness present on that forest path on that still summer's day. I let out a sigh, not of relief that my torment is finally over, and not of sadness, but of regret for you. Of all evil actions of man, mine is arguably the greatest, for I have now damned you. I go to Lan Kharadrak, the realm of the demons. I am theirs now. They have tortured me long enough, and made me wait their desired specific amount of time. No longer will they torture me. No, now they will take it to a whole new sphere of horror, a new place of fear. I am frozen in abject terror, for I have had a glimpse into the abyss, into Lan Kharadrak, and will suffer eternally and infinitely, my torment having no bounds and beyond what any human could begin to envision. I let out one last soul-wrenching whimper, and then are gone through the portal they have made me right here in this corner of my room. My last act is to place the carving knife on the farewell letter I have written and placed before me, my bloody hand sealing it and confirming it was I who had decided to write it. A letter to explain my death away to any who should later chance upon my lifeless body. They will think I have just died of depression and loneliness by my own hand, but the letter is false, an abomination, and just part of the game they play, the games of Lan Kharadrak. I am gone. The words have been written and await